Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Dennis Manoloff is here tonight. That means we get to talk some baseball. The popular thing to do in this town is to rip the owner, Paul Dolan, mostly for being cheap in their minds. On a Terry Francona team, which usually starts out slow, the Tribe is 4 games over the 500 mark and should win tonight down in Miami. If the Indians kept Edwin Encarnacion or brought in some big money outfield bats and paid an extra $35 million for them, what do you suppose their record would be right now? I'd say around 16-12, which is right about where they are right now, going into tonight's game at Miami. That's what analytics is all about. If the Tribe spent an extra 30 or 35 million, they might have the same record or maybe 1 game better. Do you really think Paul Dolan made a bad move in the offseason? The D-Man Dennis Manoloff is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 23rd consecutive year. And, of course, seen exclusively right now on cleveland.com, the D-Man Dennis Manoloff to my right is with us. Hello, D-Man. It seems like it's been a long time. We last saw each other on the night of the draft. It seems like 2 months ago.
Exactly. I thought we had seen each other post-draft, but this is our first get-together since the draft. Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about the draft, but
Sure.
Before we do that, I want to talk about what's going on down in Columbus. The Blue Jackets with a 2-1 win last night. I thought that Boston was all over that net, especially in the third period, and I expected them to score, and they didn't. It was sensational defense by the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, the Columbus Blue Jackets, it's no secret, have a hot goalie right now, Sergei Bobrovsky, Bob, and you can go a long way in the NHL, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, when your goalie is hot and when he's locked in. You could argue even more valuable than a stud starting pitcher because he's there every night.
Every game.
Whereas the stud starting
Every 4
pitcher
or 5
who's hot,
pitches, yeah.
you don't see him every game in the playoffs. So, but it starts with Bobrovsky. The team's playing with a ton of confidence. They don't care who they're playing. They just got done with Tampa, the best record in the league, so why should they worry about Boston?
All right, let's turn our attention to the draft now. Overall feeling of what happened starting a week ago tonight.
Well, as you know, Les, I disagree vehemently with those who attach grades to day of or year of grades.
Not possible.
No matter the team, I don't care.
You know what it's done or why it's done? It's to verify that the guy who's writing the column, if the team agreed with him, therefore it's an A.
Sure. And to me, it makes no sense. You need several years at least before you go back and grade, but nobody wants to do that. They all want to grade right away. So I back away from saying, putting any letter grade on it. I simply say John Dorsey and his staff know more than we do. They know their personnel more than we do. So I'm not going to criticize their picks until I see a result that doesn't work out on the field.
I'd also like to find people who say they've seen 5 or 6 LSU games or Alabama games or BYU games. They haven't.
Well, and I'll admit, I had heard of Greedy Williams, but I hadn't heard of Taki Taki. I had not heard of Sheldrick Redwine. I probably should have. I'm sorry. I didn't study college football as much outside the Big Ten as I should have. But listen, it sounds good that the Browns got Greedy Williams because he was supposedly a first-round corner that slipped to the second round. But even Dorsey and Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith, they don't know if Greedy Williams is going to work out because he hasn't played it down yet.
I think Taki Taki goes very well with red wine.
There we go. The puns are flowing. You know some of those
just
guys
waiting
are built.
to happen.
Yes. Taki
Ray Williams.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I've said this to people, and I get sniped at a little bit. You think John Dorsey is invincible or immune to criticism? Right now.
I
mean,
other than
nothing
maybe
has happened on the field yet that leads me to
Right.
criticize John Dorsey.
Other than making historically a fifth-round pick with a kicker. That you don't see. He's going out on a limb on that one.
Well, that's true, and that was one of the reasons that some of the people that sniped at me when I said, "Hey, I don't have a problem with any of Dorsey's picks at this point," because none of them have not worked out. The kicker, a little questionable. I would have wondered about it maybe in the third round. Bottom of fifth, top of sixth. Okay, if John Dorsey and his staff want to do that, fine. What's preposterous to me is I read where, look what the Browns did. They turned Josh Gordon into a kicker. As if Josh Gordon, because that was the trade, that was the pick they got from the Patriots. As if Gordon was going to work out here.
No, it wasn't going to happen.
Wasn't going to happen. And oh, by the way, Gordon didn't work out in his first year in New England either.
Right.
They go to the Super Bowl without him.
Correct.
Okay, they went through the playoffs without him because he was on the indefinite suspension list. So this idea that, look what the Browns wound up getting for Josh Gordon, a kicker, is ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's not a great kicker, at least statistically. It's a very average kicker.
You're right, and this is where, if you believe reports, general managers generally allow, in the later rounds, they allow their scouts and their personnel people to talk up a guy. And I'm not saying Dorsey doesn't have final say, because he does, but he's not as hands-on.
No, he's taking care of the first 4 or 5 rounds by himself.
So Dorsey probably turned this pick over to his coordinators and his scouts, and they said, let's ride with this guy, or at the very least, let's provide competition to Joseph. And even if that's not your objective going in, I like the idea that you send a message to the roster that every position is up for grabs except quarterback.
Yeah, as well it should be. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Speaking of drafting and all that stuff, have you ever seen a classier thing than what Josh Rosen did, being traded to the Miami Dolphins, and how he left it at Arizona?
Yeah, not many more classy than that, or classier. I mean, nice job by Rosen.
And it wasn't fake.
It seemed genuine, and it puts him on good footing going to Miami and gives him a nice send-off to Arizona. I don't blame Arizona once the Cardinals made the switch to Kingsbury. It's fine if Kingsbury wants to move on from Rosen and go to a guy like Kyler Murray,
don't you think they almost
he thinks
have to?
better suits him. What's that?
Don't you think they almost have to move on?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that the Rosen departure, there's no blame to go around there.
No. Once you get Kingsbury, you know.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know you're going to make the move.
Exactly. You can't have the two of those guys.
216-575-0403. All right, the draft, it's over and done with at this point. So what does it do to the way you look at the 2019 season?
Only more excited about it because, first of all, we were able to go in, and we mentioned this on the previous show, we were able to go into this draft, we as observers, and, taking the temperature of the fans, realizing that it isn't be-all, end-all. It's not make or break. You don't scramble to fill major positions. This was a supplementary type draft, a complementary type draft. You're filling, not so much major needs, but it's kind of like you're adding to the periphery around, although you could say Greedy Williams potentially could be a starter from the jump. I don't know if any of these other guys who's automatically going to start.
They didn't go into the draft looking to get starters.
Exactly. I mean, they want contributors, but they didn't have to go get every down guys beyond, again, Greedy Williams. And so I'm encouraged by what I see. Again, withholding a grade because I haven't seen any of them in pads, let alone practices, let alone games. But it certainly sounds like they made some nice picks, and let's remember, Les, their first round in their mind was Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, he's at least half of the first round.
When you factor that in, then it's a bonanza.
Yeah, if you're gonna rate the draft, you have to consider Odell Beckham as part of the draft. All right, I don't know what you know about Sports Illustrated Prospect X, but we'll take a look at him when we get back. 216-575-0403. You can also follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/more sports and less Levine with new content posted each and every day. Dennis Manoloff and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Yesterday we had the worst birthday day in history. Tonight it improves. Chuck Bednarik, the last two-way player, right? Knocked Frank Gifford into oblivion in those days when the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. Analytics, 1947, Gary Clark just traded, right? Curtis Martin, Wes Welker, and Scooter Gennett. What a great name that is. Scooter Gennett.
Jeanette, yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Sports Illustrated put out a Prospect X, and what they did is they described a guy and they wanted to follow him all the way through the draft process and find out who picked him and why they picked him. And let's take a look at Prospect X. Drew Forbes, the offensive lineman from Southeast Missouri State, 6'3", 303, three-year starter at left tackle in college, first-team All-Ohio Valley Conference player in 2018, second team in 2017. That was Prospect X. He turns out to be a draftee of the Cleveland Browns.
Again, reason to feel good about Dorsey and his staff, but no guarantees.
No.
I don't know where he fits in and everything. I mean, he's at this point depth at best, but Sports Illustrated picks a guy out. He turns out to be a Brown. Maybe he's a sleeper.
It's almost like Hard Knocks, how they follow somebody all the way through the process.
Sure, and Les, what we have to remember too, lest we be too myopic, is every city that has an NFL team believes, or almost every city, because you're going to have cynics running wild in one or two of them.
Yeah, like
but
Cincinnati.
Every city thinks our team did great, okay? And so the Steelers think they had a great draft. The Ravens think they had a great draft. Maybe the Bengals didn't think they had it, or fans didn't think they had a great draft, but maybe who knows how it turns out.
Right.
That's why I don't get too excited about
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You're right. I can't think of too many people who would say, boy, that draft year, we were terrible. That sucked. Why did they pick that guy?
I mean, Giants fans were scratching their head with Daniel Jones instead of Haskins, and you'll have people continually criticizing Gettleman. But in fairness to Gettleman, we don't know if Daniel Jones is going to amount to anything.
He'd better, from Gettleman's point of view.
He'd better, but we don't know. And just as we don't know if Haskins is going to work out. I like Haskins a lot, but I don't know if he's going to work out long term.
He looks
in the
like
NFL.
He's going to, but you don't know. All right, so there's also a bunch of players who thought they were going to get drafted in the NFL, but they didn't. Some of them came out early, and they come up empty. They can't even go back to their old schools. But there are some undrafted free agents the Browns might be interested in, and John Dorsey and his staff will take a look at these guys who did not get drafted, take a look at need, and see what they come up with. So that'll be coming up in the next segment. We're going to take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. I want to tell you about Northfield Park, place to go for, live and simulcast racing, but also for the Kentucky Derby. And that, of course, is this Saturday, the Kentucky Derby, 145th running of the Derby. And Churchill Downs' first post time is 10:30 a.m. Doors open at Northfield at 9:30. You got the handicapping seminar hosted by our friend the Railbird, Bob Roberts. That'll be at 11 o'clock. Prize drawings, chance to win all kinds of stuff. $100 win wagers of the Kentucky Derby, gift cards and sporting event tickets, as well as concert tickets, cash vouchers, cookware, so much more. And the Kentucky Derby hat contest, live racing, 6 p.m. Lady Luck's Clubhouse opens at 6 o'clock, and that's $19.95. Actually, 5:30 to 8:30, $19.95 for the buffet. And that's all from our friends at Northfield Park, where it's free parking, free admission each and every day. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine continues with Dennis Manoloff, exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems. Unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
D-Man, it's time for a How Come Quickie. How come pie are squared but cakes are round? Anybody know that answer? 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We mentioned before the break, D-Man, that it's tough enough to follow the late round picks that they actually take, but the guys who thought they were going to get drafted and aren't, that becomes even tougher. There are a couple out there I want to look at. One is Dorian Baker, a wide receiver from Kentucky, who's from Cleveland Heights High School. And you know about the Kelsey brothers from Cleveland Heights. That would be continuing the tradition. 13 receptions, 133 yards in 2018, and he missed all of 2017 with an ankle injury. So he is one guy to look at. Darren Hall is another one, a running back from Pittsburgh. 5'11", 225, 153 carries, 1,144 yards, and 10 touchdowns in 2018. He's a 2013 third-team All-ACC performer. From the Youngstown area, Austintown Fitch is where he is from. Trying to add some local guys, maybe. Of course, I don't think John Dorsey cares, right?
And you got David Blau.
Yeah. Then you have David Blau, quarterback out of Purdue, 6'1", 205, 66% completions, 3,705 yards last year with 10 interceptions, 25 touchdowns to go with it. 97-34 yards and 69 touchdowns in his career at Purdue. Jarrell Owens, a defensive lineman from Oklahoma State. He's 6'3", 265, 31 tackles and 6 sacks this past year. 73 tackles, 12.5 sacks in 4 years at Oklahoma State. And Wyatt Ray is there, a linebacker out of Boston College, 6'3", 255, 44 tackles, 9 sacks in 2018. 16.5 sacks in his 4 years at Boston College. Know anything about any of these guys?
Blau a little bit. I've seen him play less. It wasn't long ago where if you were an undrafted free agent and you signed with the Browns, you had a shot.
You had a shot.
Perhaps. But it doesn't look that way now, given how deep this roster appears to be. First of all, how much talent is on it. on the front end, and then the complementary pieces seem to be there as well. So it's going to be an uphill climb for any of those guys.
All of that is good. The fact that you're not finding players off the scrap heap and starting them or looking for them to be starters.
Sure.
So when we come back, I want to take a look at some baseball, find out what the Indians are doing. They get a win last night. Cargo hits a 3-run home run, and we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, we'll check the voicemail of Truth and Reason. More Sports and Les Levine continues with Dennis Manoloff. Here's the voicemail of Truth and Reason phone number. You can call anytime and leave us a message. Try to keep them quick. 216-200-6650. If they're too long, they probably will not get on. Call anytime and leave a message. We'll use the best messages in future shows right here on cleveland.com. We'll come back in a moment. Indians down in Miami tonight. Back with more sports and Les Levine continuing on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Take a look at this date in sports history. May 1st, a couple of things happened. 1920, the Babe hits his first home run as a Yankee, 50th of his career, wound up with 714. Then we go to 1951 when the Mick hits his first major league home run. He winds up with 536. Do you know what happened when when Babe Ruth retired from baseball? The Yankees were ruthless.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
The Feller bat when he came back.
Yeah.
For the.
Why would Feller have a? Yeah, I guess he'd have his own bat. I mean, did he pitch that day?
Yes, and that was the thing. He said that it just happened that Ruth pulled the Feller bat out of the bat rack.
Right.
It was a complete accident.
Feller was the first guy he came to, right? He says, "Give me that bat."
Well, no, Feller was warming up at that point.
Oh, is that right?
Ruth came up the steps, and he said that he was told. Feller was told that Ruth just grabbed his bat.
Oh, nice, nice. Anyway, this is Les Levine for Smiley One Heating and Cooling, reminding you to get on the schedule. Have my friends at Smiley One come out and make your air conditioning running at its highest efficiency, just like I've done for years. It's time to schedule your ProMax tune-up and safety inspection from SmileyOne.com. 216-575-0403 is our number. Indians won a game they really needed and should have won last night against a very bad team, the Miami Marlins. And Cargo hits a 3-run homer.
First 3-run homer for the Indians this season.
Some of these numbers that are coming out are kind of wild. What do you think? They're 16-12, and you know the images that the Francona team start out slow. That is not necessarily the case the last 3-4 years.
I think it was early in his tenure.
Yeah.
Obviously, here you see the 10-11, but the past 3 years they've been off to a decent start.
All right, so in 2019 they're 16-12. They were in second place. They are in second place, a game and a half behind Minnesota. Last year they were 15-12 through April, 14-10 in 17, and 10-11 in 16. But the last 3 years it hasn't been bad at all.
No, the big difference between last year and this year is that you're talking about a 5.5 game swing in the division. I believe the Twins will be there probably till the end.
Although they got pounded last night down in Houston. Against
Sure.
Houston.
Well, they were in Minnesota,
Yeah.
I believe. But
Yeah.
I mean, the Twins, so far it's 1-1 the series. I think it concludes tonight. I'm not positive.
Right.
But the Twins are a solid to good team that's going to push the Indians, I believe, this year. You know, when I say no grades for draft because we don't know about these guys, you could grade the Indians on their April, and because it's done.
Right.
Because you saw what happened, and I would think something in the neighborhood of a B+. An A would have been first place, maybe 18, 19 wins. But as it stands, you're not going to complain about this record given some of the craziness that's happened. The fact that you didn't have Lindor at the outset, the fact that Kipnis was down, Kluber's been erratic, Carrasco's been erratic, Cargo wasn't with you at the start. You've been in and out of Hanley Ramirez.
Here's what's hard to believe.
So,
among other things, that Francisco Lindor, and I refuse to call him Frankie, by the way, Francisco Lindor has only played in 9 games.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem.
It seems like he's played in more. It seems like the Indians have played more. Maybe it's because I fell prey to the longer spring training when I said I wouldn't, and I was watching too many spring training games.
Right.
But I feel like the Indians have been playing for 3 months, and the fact is it's only May 1st. And we also noticed that Frankie Lindor, admittedly small sample, no walks, which is kind of weird.
In 9 games.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of strange to me that Frankie Lindor.
Well, they're
does not have
certainly
a
not
walk.
pitching around him.
No. And, you also realize Jose Ramirez continues to struggle.
Well, let's take a look at Ramirez. And I don't know. I can't tell if he's coming out of it or not.
Just when I thought I saw some good swings, then I don't see
they went
them.
by the wayside. All right, so in 2017, he was hitting .330 at this point, last 3 Aprils. .267 last year, 181 right now. 6 homers, 7 homers, and 2 homers. And then you go to RBIs, 21 in 17, 16 in 18, and just 9 in 2019. And strikeouts, I don't know if that's to be concerned with or not. 15, 11, and 17. It's the new game of baseball.
True. The encouraging part when you look at that graphic is that he took that 2018 slow start and turned it into an MVP candidate before he cratered in the final 2 months of the season, plus the post. So last year's April did not lead to a bad season because he went bananas in, May, June, and July.
You have a guy who normally starts out slow, but he's starting out very hot this year, and that, of course, is Carlos Santana. You look at the numbers here, his batting average right now is at .316. Seems to me like he's got more than 3 home runs, but we double-checked it, triple-checked it. I don't know.
I agree with you. And it's hard to believe that 2 of his homers have come in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
He only had 1 that first
hard
stretch.
to believe. 16 RBIs, 18 strikeouts, and 18 walks. 4 for 9 in the last 2 games, 4 for 9, couple of homers, 3 RBIs in the last 2 games. Then we come to the next man, and that's Corey Kluber, who's on the mound tonight. And Kluber has only had 2 quality starts, D-Man, 31 innings, 5.81 ERA, 35 strikeouts, 15 walks. His opponents are hitting .287, and he only had 34 walks the entire last season. So
I don't want to sound like an apologist for Kluber, but I'm going to apologize for him here. He's closer than it appears. I think a lot of his walks issues have come from actually the ball moving more than he expected it to.
Good point.
Which is a good sign.
Good point. All right, Trevor Bauer didn't pitch well last night by his own admission, but he got the win. Trevor Bauer this season, 47 and 2/3 innings, 2.45 ERA, 55 strikeouts, 23 walks. Opponents hitting just 167. And in April of 2018, last year, 40 innings, 40 and a third innings, 2.45 ERA, 46 strikeouts, and 16 walks.
Cha-ching. I mean, he'll be going to the arbitration table in the offseason and banking another monstrous check with another win.
He admitted he didn't pitch very well, but you can get away with that against the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, and he's a new schooler, so he doesn't care about individual pitcher wins, but he did give his team a chance to win. And as you pointed out, Les, the stat that was disseminated on social media about him, 60 consecutive starts of no more than 4 earned runs. That's one of the longest runs since in the DH era.
Second in history, and the first was Maddox, and he pitched in the National League without the DH, 161 games.
Yeah, I mean,
101 games more than the second-place guy, Trevor Bauer.
Bauer is terrific. There's no question. I do worry a little, and he would laugh at this, but his total pitches so far are pretty high, or is pretty high.
Right.
The total for his number of pitches thrown, but he says he can throw 200 a game.
What do you think he's going? You think he's going for the strikeout more this year than before?
No, I think he's just a little wilder than he wants to be. I don't think his command or his control is quite where he wants it to be.
Well, he hit a guy last night, certainly not on purpose.
Yes, I can't. Oh, why am I blanking on his name? But he had just gotten activated.
Yeah, the redhead, Scott, I believe.
It was unfortunate for that young man.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We'll take a look at our Facebook question of the day, and that question is: 1 month into the season, what surprises you most about the Cleveland Indians? So let's take a look. Andy Mees starts it off. He says Nick Whitgren has been a pleasant surprise, coming in and getting the ball to Brad Hand with the game in balance without giving up runs. If he keeps it up, this would be one less setup man that Antonetti and Chernoff will have to trade for at the trading deadline. Dave Shoup says how many pitches Bauer is throwing each game. That's really old school. Hope he doesn't wear it out.
I promise I didn't read Dave's before I mentioned that.
Hope he doesn't wear it out before the All-Star game. Rick Mays says biggest surprise that the Indians have a winning record going into May with that lineup. Here's hoping the hitting warms up as the weather does. Kevin Pyle says that the Indians have won more games by the end of April than any other time since Francona has been manager, and they are above 500 starting in May. The list goes on. Tim Gebhardt says, I'm surprised how well Carlos Santana is hitting the opposite way and keeping his average up. Dennis Davis, how good defensively Roberto Perez is. If he could hit 230, he'd be an all-star. I don't know about that. Danny Freeman, that they finished 16-12 in April with that roster Francona had to put together out there. I'm satisfied with April. The only part of that April that I didn't like was when he brought in Brad Hand in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Up by 4, and he wound up. He didn't want to lose one game. He wound up losing 2 as a result.
Well, he split it. He won the first one. He said he wanted to get the one in his pocket, but we believe he could have won both because Whitgren. I wanted Whitgren to finish the first one and then Hand for the second. But it's difficult to criticize Francona body work. By the way, those Facebookers, excellent job on all those points. I laughed at the Roberto Perez one, not because it wasn't a good point, but because 230 as a standard for your hitting is kind of funny, but it's well said.
In his case, it's well said.
Roberto Perez is a good defensive catcher and a good framer.
All right, we want to hear from you. What position do the Indians, where can they improve? What do they need to improve to get this team more where you want them to be? Although 5 games if they win tonight, 5 games over 500 is not too bad. June 2nd is the night for the wine tasting event at Sokolowski's University Inn. When you think Sokolowski's, you think food. Well, how about a wine tasting contest with the wines to go with the great food? Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award, established back in 1923, makes them the oldest family-owned and operated restaurant in all of Northeast Ohio. Check out the website, Sokolowskis.com. Find out more about the June 2nd wine tasting event at Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, with us. Jim Ingram tomorrow night. Bud Shaw moves to Monday for next week right here on cleveland.com.
The concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Nature Stone flooring. Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Let's check out this date in Les Levine history, May 1st, 1968. In honor of the Babe, Les calls his shot whiskey. Just doing what the Babe. Do you believe that the Babe pointed against Charlie Root in 1932 World Series? Do you want to believe it?
Yeah, sure.
You want to believe it.
There's so much
you?
legend surrounding Ruth. Why not? You know? I mean, the guy, how many hot dogs he used to eat before games and boozing and everything. Listen, he was an icon. He was a legend. So legends have
the
some
right
yarn
to do that.
attached to their truth.
The late, great Hal Lebovitz, longtime sports editor of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, as a kid in the 20s at League Park, he used to sell hot dogs to fans. But the Babe came up just before the game. Babe came up, sat down in the bleacher seats, and pointed to Hal, told him to come on over. He says, I want you to bring me a dozen hot dogs, and bring them quick. So there you have it.
There you go. That's the truth.
I don't know if it is or it isn't. I wasn't there.
If it came from Hal, it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the Indians roster, we can take a look at what you want to change, what you want to move around, what needs to be concerned with. So the catching situation, you've got Perez and Plawecki. You okay with those guys?
As long as Perez gives you the defense and the framing and the pitch handling and the sequencing, they're going to live with that.
And
yes.
Plawecki's just here to catch about 30, 40 games, right?
You would think, yes.
All right, how about Santana at first base? You okay?
This version of Santana, absolutely ride him.
Second base, you got Kipnis and Manoloff.
Kip's got to pick it up. I mean, we need to see the old Kipnis. I don't know. I mean,
you can't win
I think he's still there.
You can't win a playoff spot with Manoloff as your second baseman, can you?
You would think not.
Shortstop, you got Lindor. That's enough said. Freeman joins him. You okay with that?
Sure.
Doesn't matter who the second guy is.
Exactly. Lindor is going to be there all the time as long as the ankle's fine.
Same thing with Ramirez, right?
You ride him. I mean, he's got to figure it out sooner than later. If he doesn't, then this team's in trouble, I think.
All right, the outfield of Bowers, Cargo, it's Gonzalez, Naquin, Martin, and Luplow, who's come back from Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, Bowers is still in question. Interesting cat, I'm not sure. And then, of course, you see what Yandy Diaz is doing in Tampa, and you kind of cringe a little. But Cargo, good to see him again with the bomb.
They had to
last
have
night.
something more against
Yandy Diaz?
Yandy Diaz than just that he didn't hit home runs.
That he didn't lift the ball?
No.
You would think. I mean, I thought it was almost a straight-up launch angle. It was a trade with launch angle in mind. Diaz didn't launch the ball. He hit liners. Bowers launched the ball. They're both young prospects. Let's see what the Indians wanted, the guy who could lift the ball. Yeah, but right now, Tampa's not complaining about Yandy Diaz.
Diaz is hitting line shots that go out.
Yes.
To me, it doesn't matter if it goes out, it goes out. All right, the current bullpen, which we consider to be a problem at one point. Adam Simber, Brad Hand, of course, is the closer. Dan Otero, Neil Ramirez, Tyler Clippard, Tyler Olson, Oliver Perez, haven't seen much of him lately, and Nick Whitman, and one of the emailers called that one out correctly. Whitman's been terrific.
I don't think anybody could have anticipated Whitman except maybe one of the scouts in the Indians' offices. Brad Hand, there are times where his stuff looks absolutely nasty. I mean, it's better than anything that the fastball slider combination.
Right.
Better than anything he was throwing last year. So I have faith in Hand at the back. Like what I'm seeing from Whitgren, and the rest of it kind of a hodgepodge, but so far serviceable bullpen.
All right, so a week or two ago we were told that Mike Clevenger couldn't even pick up a baseball until the end of August, right? That's what we were told. Well, now not only is he picking it up, he's throwing it at 60 feet. You encouraged by this?
Well, you have to be. And, you know, I get it. It makes sometimes these medical staffs targets for criticism, but nobody really knows how a body's going to respond.
No, everybody's
they
different.
can say, okay, we got a strained muscle back here, but you can't be sure of how quickly it's going to heal. So whenever he gets back, that's great. I'm sure he's not rushing it, because you can't rush an injury like that, right, Les?
No,
You'll know right away if you rushed it.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, you talk about injuries, and Lindor came back faster than I expected, and they didn't stretch that time limit out like they sometimes do. But if you undercut it a little bit, you probably start thinking that the guy's injured more than he is.
Yeah, and I haven't been exactly, shall we say, reassured when I see him run a few times. I mean, you're seeing a little hitch in the giddy up.
A hitch and a little limp at the end.
They keep telling us everything's fine. And then another thing that makes me nervous is when you hear a staff say, well, he can't do any more damage to it. Like, really? Is that where we are? Is that the threshold? But as long as Lindor feels like he can go out there at as close to 100% as he's going to be, and the medicals say yes, and the Indian staff said yes, then all right.
Are you concerned a little bit that they have him stealing bases? Doesn't look like they've taken the reins off of him.
You mean Lindor specifically?
Yeah, I would say Francisco, just walk to second base. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a sign that they have faith in the ankle and the calf and everything else. So you can't worry, I guess, about injuries until and unless these guys go down.
All right,
you can't sit there and go, oh, is he going to get hurt today?
Let's go back to the future, or up to the future, and kind of take a look at what you think may be a problem at trade time, July 31st. Whether we threw up all the names and the categories, positions, and all, what do you think might be something they have to? If the bullpen pans out, that's one less thing you've got to worry about.
Yeah, as the one of the Facebookers said, you won't have to go hunting for setups for hand. I would think you're going to be back in the market for an outfielder, the Jay Bruce type pickup, because I just don't see how that outfield is suddenly going to be formidable, even if you grant me that Carlos Gonzalez catches fire. I still think you've got to.
He hasn't caught fire, but he's been more than adequate.
Right, but I'm saying even if you grant me Carlos Gonzalez as a guy I don't have to worry about.
Right.
I've still got, and Leonis Martin, I don't know about, but even Carlos Gonzalez and Leonis Martin, let's say they're fine. You still have an issue to me at the other outfield position.
Right
so
Naquin.
I don't trust Bowers at this point. I don't trust Naquin.
Can't trust Luplow.
Luplow, I don't trust. So I would think that the trade market, one of the targets is going to be an outfielder.
The 145th running of the Kentucky Derby comes up this Saturday. Northfield Park is the place to go, live and simulcast racing. And you've got Kentucky Derby handicapping seminar starting at 11 o'clock. And Ayers Ratliff and Bob Railbird Roberts will host that. Donut and coffee specials for just $1 as long as supplies last, starting at 9:30. Kentucky Derby hat contest. You've got all kinds of contests going on. You can win concert tickets, cash vouchers, cookware. Grand prize spins give you a chance to win $2,500 in cash, $100 win wagers of the Kentucky Derby, and much, much more. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. D-Man and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Nature Stone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Nature Stone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of May and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen. For old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Jim Ingram joins us. You see us live from 6 until 7. Then you can archive us all over the place, 24 hours a day. Go back to some special show. Maybe make fun of us as how we rated the draft. When the draft, at the end of the season, they can go back and say, well, you guys had no idea what you were talking about. They can check that out. And you can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Less Levine, with new content posted each and every day. Jim Ingram tomorrow night. All right, this is from Gene in North Olmsted, D-Man. Les, all 4 of the division winners in the NHL got knocked out in the first round. Since they went to the 4-division format, I don't remember this happening. Do you? I don't claim to know that much of the history, but I don't think I think that's correct, that all 4 lost for the first time.
I'll take the word for it there.
I don't know for sure, but I think that's correct. Then we get this from Marty in Strongsville. Greedy Williams, this is to Les and D-Man. Greedy Williams was the 7th cornerback chosen. The great Bill Belichick passed on him in the 45th pick and took another corner. This tells us the draft pundits seriously overrated Williams. There's a reason he supposedly fell, and we don't know what that reason is, but the other GMs and full-time scouts know. So we did not get a steal. We got him where he belonged. Well, it doesn't mean he was seriously overrated. It's just that one man decided to take him or not take him.
And I look at it as, if he were the perfect player, he would have gone in the top 10.
Right.
He's obviously not the perfect player, so there are going to be flaws. The question is your team's front office willing to work around those flaws? But listen, Belichick, by virtue of what he's accomplished, has earned the right to get an A+, if you want to give him a grade, every single draft. And that's basically what people do. Every draft, Belichick gets an A+.
And if some other team makes the exact same moves, they'll
get a C.
They'll get a C. Same moves.
But that's because Belichick and the Patriots are the gold standard and have been for 15, 19 years.
Mr. Gullible comes in with there's now a battle between Mr. Gullible and John Patrick. They now send in 2 a night. Then John Patrick, we voted. Have you voted on him before?
No, I haven't.
We don't want to give him a 10 unless he deserves it, but if we give him a 10, he may stop sending him in. But anyway, this is from Mr. Gullible. How come, to be frank, I would have to change my name? How come electricians have to strip to make ends meet?
There we go. Ends meet.
John Patrick says, hi, Dennis and Les. Bud gave me a 9.9 yesterday. I know Dennis can put me over the top today. How come nobody ever says it's only a game when their team is winning? Right?
Great point.
How come a wise man is the opposite of a wise guy? These are good, but they're not 10s, right? How do you feel about it?
I like that.
No, they're good.
No, I'm not.
10 is a 10.
You know it when you hear it?
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's exactly right. If you want to get in on the final segment, you can do that. Lines open, 216-575-0403. Yeah.
Sorry, can we go back to the shot of just you?
I don't know.
Look what's over your right shoulder. Chubb. When I think of Chubb, I think of tremendous back, but I also think, please, Browns, keep Duke Johnson. Okay?
I don't even know why they've got him out if they do have him out on the hook.
Well, the encouraging thing, what we're hearing from Dorsey is, and he said it on 92.3 The Fan, I believe, yesterday, hey, I don't know what all you guys are talking about, but we like Duke. And we want him here.
Well, it's not all you guys talking about it. It's Duke who demanded to be traded.
Yeah, and he knows that. But I think he was thinking maybe that the media thinks that the Browns are in some rush or Dorsey's in some rush to trade Duke. I really want them to keep him at the very least, because you know the first half of the year you're not going to have Hunt, and I want to see Duke Johnson on a winner, because to me, he did good things for a loser.
Right.
Let's see what he can do with a winner. And no one on that 0-16 team was more competitive and hated losing more than Duke Johnson Jr.
That's a great point.
I defy you to come up with somebody who hated
even
it
though
more.
it was the previous regime, they paid the money for him. So those guys thought, and if this is only arguments between the old regime and the new regime, and you lose a guy like Duke Johnson as a result of it, that doesn't seem right.
No,
it
doesn't. And you got him at a decent price, more than decent price. There's no need to trade him. There's no rush to trade him. And I think that's what Dorsey is trying to say, that we're all right with Duke.
By the way, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 10 until 2. I'll be in with Andy Baskin in for Jeff Phelps. That'll be tomorrow on 92.3 The Fan. Let's go to BP, who's in Pepper Pike. BP, how are you?
Great. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing okay. What's up?
Enjoying the show. I love the puns, Les, with red wine and tucky.
Thank you.
I also want to say Greedy Williams
the
sounds like a
Tucky Derby
joint.
is tomorrow. The Tucky Derby is going to be on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'll bring my red wine.
Right.
But I wanted to say Greedy Williams sounds like a barbecue joint.
Very good.
But maybe if he makes it big, he'll open up his own barbecue joint somewhere.
Maybe so. Hot Sauce Williams and Greedy Williams.
Yeah,
I don't think they're related.
I love me some Greedy Williams.
All right. What else is on your mind tonight?
Pun taken.
Hey, BP, I know you're the biggest Cavs fan I know, one of the biggest. Do you have any idea who you want as a head coach?
That's a great question. I was just watching something, it looks like the guys in the running are the two assistant coaches from Portland and an assistant coach from Utah, and then now they've got Bernie Bickerstaff's son, J.B. Bickerstaff, in the mix.
And by the way, I didn't even know that Bernie was on the staff of the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I knew that. He's like a senior consultant of some sort. But, it's funny. There's actually a guy I had my eye on. Doc Rivers has an assistant, a guy named Rex Calamanian, and he seems like he's pretty sharp, and he's been in the NBA since like 1995. He's about 45 years old, so he's pretty young still.
If you have Bickerstaff and his son, you won't have too much bickering between the staff.
That's excellent, by the way. BP, do you agree with me that the Cavs could get any one of these candidates several months from now? Therefore, they should wait until the draft, see how the draft falls, see who they get, have a shot at getting before they name their coach.
Would you say there should be a difference between coaches depending on whether they get Zion Williamson or not?
100%. You'll see the really good coaches come out of the woodwork.
Of course, he's right on track here, because this happened with David Blatt. They should not have hired David Blatt, knowing there was a chance LeBron was going to join them back in 2014. There's a chance Zion Williamson is going to be on the Cavs as of May 14th when the draft lottery ends. So, I would hold off the Cavs. These candidates that they're looking at are average candidates at best.
Exactly. So, you can get any one of those guys in August if you had to.
And they'd all be
August, September, October, November.
Yeah, and they'd all be thrilled to come and take that job. Do you, by the way, if it is Zion Williamson, would you think that maybe they would, I don't want to say revisit because there's been denials that it's ever been visited, but would you think of talking to Rick Pitino if that were the case?
I think Rick Pitino is like 67 years old or something. He doesn't look that old, but he's, 67 to 70 years old. So I would stay away from Rick Pitino. That's my opinion.
Pretty tough traveling on 82-game season. That's a good point. And,
I just think if they get Zion Williamson, it's like getting LeBron James again on your team. There's going to be, a lot of national games. There's going to be a ton of attention. You've got to really come up with some kind of a high-profile coach at that point.
Well, like who?
You're going to be also. I actually think, and by the way, I predict if Zion Williamson, if the Cavs get him in the lottery, then number 23 may be making his return visit to the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James.
Do you want to see that?
BP.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets are off based on what happened in 18-19 with the Lakers. But BP, I don't know what his contract status is. I don't know if Villanova has him locked up for life. But I would back up the Brinks truck to Jay Wright if there's even 1% chance I could get him.
He just turned down $9 million a year from the Lakers.
Okay.
No, from UCLA.
All right. Well, I'd offer him $20 million a year to coach the Cavs and roll the dice.
Well,
I love Jay Wright.
Man, I like what you said. You know, I've said this. I wrote it on cleveland.com in the comments section. I said the Cavs will not name their coach until after May 14th. And lo and behold, today's already May 1st, so it's not that hard to do.
Right.
Hold off on that coach, like you guys said. If they get Zion Williamson, you know, Tom Izzo could be in play, or you know, Jay Wright, or you know.
Well, how old is Izzo?
John Wooden could be in play.
I doubt that.
I don't know. I heard he's taking offers.
Well, okay. How old is Izzo?
Got to be in his mid-60s.
Easily.
You would think? Yeah.
To me, though, I have no problem with a guy, you know, that's 65 plus. Look what Belichick has done. Look what Greg Popovich has done. You know, Bruce Arians, he was my first choice for the Browns job, to be completely honest with you. And he was 65.
Do you have a problem with a 65-year-old guy hosting more sports than Les Levine?
No, in fact, I support it 1,000%.
Well, I wish it was 65.
Joe Biden is going to be running for president. He's 70 plus.
All right.
I got a how come quickie for BP.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
How come BP gets his gas at Marathon?
Nice.
Actually, I get a discount at the BP and Pepper Pike.
BP, the Baskin and Phelps show.
And I take batting practice every week.
You do?
Yeah, down at the Jake. I mean, the Prague.
I got to go.
Love BP.
Thank you, BP.
Oh, it's so good to hear his voice, man. He's special.
Got about a minute and a half.
would say special.
Special. All right, what do you got? You got a minute and a half of anything?
Well, the
first
NBA
of all,
playoffs.
A shameless plug for you. You'll be on WTAM 1100 tomorrow night from when to when?
7 to 10. Sub-hosting, 7 to 10 p.m. Can't wait. I love these opportunities, and we'll have a blast. So.
Right. And same day, not same time, but I'll be on shameless plug. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan, 10 to 2 tomorrow, in for Jeff Phelps along with Andy Baskin. All right. What do you want to say?
Well, we hadn't talked about the NBA playoffs.
You know, maybe I don't know if it's because of LeBron not being there. I'm not following it nearly as close as I have.
Well, I'm following it, and I'm also declaring Golden State the champion again.
You thought maybe Houston had a shot, but they don't.
But to me, they had to win one of the first two in Golden State. Now you're down 2-0. You figure Golden State splits the next two. They win it in 5. There's no way in the world Denver or Portland is going to run with Golden State past 5 games, and nothing in the East is going to compete past 6 games. So Golden State's going to win 4 out of 5.
Who do you see coming out of the East? You see Milwaukee or Philly?
I really like the Celtics after that game 1, but then Milwaukee flipped the switch in game 2, so who knows? I still think the Celtics come out of the East, and they're gritty and gutty, and maybe they get 2 against Golden State.
Right.
But that's it. Golden State's going to win, what is it now, 3 in a row and 4 out of 5. Get used to it, unless Kevin Durant, he's the only hope for the NBA. If he decides to leave, then you're going to have parity again.
Yeah,
if he doesn't.
He helps it in a couple of ways. You get parity again, and you get him in New York City.
Yeah, and imagine Kyrie, Durant, and Williamson in New York.
Well, if they're going to fix it, that's the way they're fixing it. We got to go. Great job by the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. You can hear him tomorrow night on WTAM 1100. I'll see you here tonight tomorrow night with Jim Ingram, also on radio with Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan. That'll do it for us. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.